Kyalami recently hosted round 2 of this year's Westbank Super Series, with 6 racing disciplines gathering to do battle at the Midrand venue. A main crowd draw card was the Bridgestone Production Car Championship Brigade, which brought a total of 24 competitors to the party. Though certainly not immune to the current global economic woes, the discipline's Kyalami entry represented 11 separate car manufacturers, driven by some of the country's top circuit races. The Kyalami event also brought good news, with BP Ultimate now on board as official fuel sponsors of the 2009 series. Melville Priest was in an optimistic mood.
No, we just had a small little plastic thing break in our gearbox, so I was struggling with selections, but besides that, I think we were pretty quick. We had the fastest lap in both races. We were always right up there, so I'm looking forward to it. It's our home track. I've always been strong at Kyalami, so I think it's going to be a good weekend for us.
Likewise, factory Sasol Subaru driver Davi Olivier had high expectations for his turbocharged racer at Kyalami's high altitude.
We're very excited about this. As I said in one of the press releases, now the advantage that the normally aspirated cars had down at the coast is equalized up here. So I'm looking for a very good race tomorrow.
Kyalami is traditionally kind to rear-wheel drive cars like the Nissan 350Z, and tubular tech Nissan pilot Marco De Cunha was ready to exploit the advantage.
Yeah, I think we've definitely got the pace. I think PE, we always knew wasn't going to be a circuit where we could really be right up at the front. But we're glad to be at Kyalami. Last year, I think the cars were very, very good. Yeah, we were always in the top 3 in terms of qualifying. So I'm looking forward to this weekend, and I think we'll have a good showing.
Indy Oil Audi's Johan Verree said Saturday's quickest qualifying time.
It all came together this morning. I'm very glad, because yesterday we suffered a bit. We couldn't get a problem. The car just didn't make any power. But we don't care as long as we did it in qualifying. The car's on pace, so I'm very happy. The team did a great job. Thank you to my sponsors for supporting us. Thank you to BP for supplying our fuel. And like I said, the car was just amazing handling-wise, and it all came together.
Verree would face serious competition. He took pole position by just 0.02 of a second. In fact, the best qualifying times of the top 6 Class A cars were covered by a single second on the starting grid. Racing rarely gets closer than that.
Race 1 then, it's going to be all about Johan Verree in the Indy Oils Audi. Going to try and out-drag Poulter, but Poulter's up the inside. You can see the rolling start is a big advantage as far as the rear-wheel drive Nissan goes. He slides up into the lead straight away.
And Davi Olivier is right there in the Subaru. I must say, he's come to light. He's won 1 or 2 races against these others. This circuit basically fancies rear-wheel drive cars, and you can see Poulter starting to walk away already. 3rd spot, Danger Man Anthony Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor's going to be coming on the Afrox. BMW is very, very strong around here, but he's got a big, wide Audi to get around. Johan Verree, he put a good time down in qualifying, but race pace is what it's all about. And when it comes to race pace, the BMWs and the Nissans are very, very powerful out here. Look at the lead that Poulter already pulled out.
And they're giving these cars a real workout around these corners. You can't get much faster around those 2 Goodyear curves. The Sweep and Goodyear corner, here they're coming on board with Poulter. Clear roads ahead. He's got nothing to hold him up. He's got to put his foot down and get away from the competition behind him.
They've set these cars up for flat-out speed coming out of the corners. You can see a little bit of drift going on when we were on board there, but it's firing down the straights that they are very, very strong. Second place is starting to bunch up now. At the back, you can see the Injet Extreme Audis. Rog, they've had a dismal weekend here. Couldn't get the setup right and had big, big problems trying to get Michael Stephen and Sean Watson-Smith up to the front.
Well, Stephen had a burst clutch and they couldn't get the sensor there to work the computer of the car. So his car's definitely down on power. Here comes Olivier now. Davi Olivier in the Subaru. Nice time. Taylor tries to nip in the inside to shotgun his way out of this corner on his way up the hill to the... This is a new kink they've got here now. They're preparing the circuit for the World Superbikes that are coming in May. And he's got him. He's moved to second. Taylor, we see what we say about rear-wheel drive cars in and out of these corners very, very quickly. And he protects his line against 2 of the competition.
Yeah, Taylor got that wheel ahead, and that hole was opened for Olivier to come out. Now watch the speed of the Subaru. This is where it absolutely comes to the fore. Straight out, flat out power, slides himself up into 3rd place very, very easily. But through the kinks, watch out for the Audis coming on strong. And also the second of the Nissans is starting to come on. Priest, though, in the Audi is right on the back wheel of Johan Verree, and that's a battle that's going to start raging. Taylor, when he got himself free of that dice, is now hunting down the lead and leaving 3rd place to fight it out. Michael Stephen pits.
We had a pressure plate let go in the qualifying. and I think it damaged a part on the flywheel. We had repaired the flywheel. I think the fault was still in the system in terms of the electronics. We've just re-cleared it now and hope it doesn't reoccur, and then I think we should be fine.
Well, the Audis had their victories down in Port Elizabeth and did very well in front of the home fan. Stephen, a disappointed man, as we go on board there with Davy Olivier. He's taking it on Johan Ferry on the outside as they come down to this right-handed nut. Ferry is one determined driver from Cape Town.
It was through the bowl that Johan got him back, because third place looked like it was sewn up by the Subaru, but he just outbraked himself, obviously caving under the pressure, and we all know how much pressure can come from Johan Ferry and the Indios Audi.
And that Subaru has got legs. It's really got speed. Look at it. It just walks past the Ferry car. Then we've got Melville Priest. And here's an unhappy Sean Watson-Smith. He's normally up at the front of these races. Down, not hardly down the path. And sliding. What spectacular entertainment the crowd are getting. 3 cars sideways on the fastest part of the circuit.
Roger, that was just amazing. Through turn 2, flat out, all these guys all-wheel drive, and he's going to need it. He is going to need it this time out, because the Subaru has gone farming once more. Keeps it absolutely buried the whole way through, but he's dropping right the way back. Remember, he was in the battle for third place. Now he's right at the back.
No, that's a big mistake, that one going off. I mean, that's going at such a speed. Here's the leader now. It's Leroy Poulter looking exceptionally good as he comes to the flag. Flag's waiting for him. It's going to be a great one. His first win this season. 1.1 seconds ahead of the BMW of Taylor.
Poulter's victory was a calculated one. After preserving his tyres over the closing laps, he beat Anthony Taylor by just more than a second, with Johan Ferry third, another 8 seconds adrift. Afterwards, runner-up Anthony Taylor took a pragmatic view of the results.
Leroy had a good start. He got ahead of Johan, and with that, Johan basically held me up a little bit for a lap, and then finally once I got past, Leroy pulled a bit of a gap on us, but it was a little bit too big to close towards the end of the race. I did catch, but not as much as I'd like to have, but at least I know my car's got pace, so I think we're going to expect quite a good result for race 2.
Race 2's inverted starting grid saw the Audis of Melville Priest and Johan Ferry at the front, ahead of Taylor's BMW and Poulter's Nissan.
The first 4 cars reversed for the grid, so we've got Melville Priest this side, the white car coming towards us. Alongside him is Johan Ferry. There's Priest on the right-hand side. Taylor's taking the advantage. He's coming on the outside of him, and he's going to have an advantage on this left-hand part of the corner. Watch this. He was third. He's now first. No, he's second. He's first or second, fighting it out with Ferry, and that's a man to watch in this race. One determined Anthony Taylor in that rear-wheel drive BMW.
Rog, even though the Audis had the advantage on the front row, they just don't have the pace when it comes to the rolling start, and that's a big change for production cars, Bridgestone production cars, Class A for 2009. Both the races are rolling starts. That gives, on certain courses, a massive benefit to the rear-wheel drives. They can cut through, like you can see Taylor, and if the 2 Audis keep fighting like this, there's nowhere for Poulter to go. He sits in 4th, there's no way around.
Yeah, and these inverted starting grids make for good racing. You can see now, bunched up traffic jam at high speed round Kyalami. Ooh, you can so easily touch it. Look at this, gives him a little shove here, Ferry. He can feel it, they can handle it. These are rough drivers here, very talented men. They've won South African Championship, karting championship. In fact, Leroy Poulter's a world karting champion back in South Africa at the moment. Right, it's Melville Priest on his tails, Johan Ferry around the outside. Davy Olivier just used the driver that was losing ground, I was going to say. Used the driver that Subaru to go right round them.
Yeah, he had a late braking coming up onto the shelf there, did Davy Olivier and the Subaru. But he had to start making a move because Poulter's definitely getting held up. And Davy needs to unleash the power of that Subaru. He's going to try and move up the inside. No, it's not going to hold this time. Poulter's wise to that. He'll be able to block his line. But Poulter really needs to get a move on and get to the front. Another win down here at Kyalami would give him a massive boost in the championship. And he needs to close things down after a dismal round number 1.
It's actually brilliant in this Bridgestone production cars to see how evenly these cars are matched. We've got V6s, we've got 4-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. We've got the lot here, and these cars, not much between them as far as lap times and racing goes. Breaking away, we've got Taylor, we've got Prieston coming through on the inside. Here's Johan Ferry, he's going to get the front, he is the champ. He wants to get there, and then we've got Leroy Poulter alongside him. He's on the outside, does 2 into 1 go. I'm not so sure about it. He goes wide as he goes into the second. Yes, he's got Ferry right in his tail. He's got tagged off the circuit. He goes into the dirt, keeps it going. He hasn't got the 4-wheel drive to take him out. There's damage on that motor car. There's the Ferry car A1 coming up the hill, and coming into sight also is Michael Stephen, who had a disastrous first race in that Audi.
Well, Rog, we had point of view from both of those cars, so there's going to be arguments, but at the end of the day, there is footage from both of them, so there'll be a very clear hearing after this, because I think there'll be some dropped lips.
Here's the leaders. It's Anthony Taylor, the Afrox BMW, then Melville Priest behind him. There comes Michael Stevens behind him. Davy Oliviers moved up in the Subaru. He's having a good day. He had a terrible outing down in P. They all went into him, crashed into him, pushed him off the road, but he's certainly holding his own here at Kyalami.
This is just a freight train now, as you see. Oh, that's on board at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Poulter is coming in, so the man that was battling it out for a top 3 in race number 2 after taking race 1 win has to come and park it. Dismal, and he'll lose a lot of points from that.
What a great pity for him. Such a talented driver, and there must be damage to the car. There it is.
Look, I think Johan and I just had a coming together. I don't know who it is now, Poulter. We'll see the footage, you know. It's just ended the race straight away. It bent the tie rod end, and it was the end of us, you know.
Oh, while that's going on, one of the battles at the back of the field, Robert Volk, the man who almost took out the world at the previous round of racing, goes way wide, but his teammate in the Afrox BMW, Taylor, he's going to hang on with a lot of close attention in the last lap from Melville Priest, but race number 2 win is going to go to Taylor in the Afrox BMW. Only 0.6 of a second back to second place.
Anthony Taylor's victory did not come on a plate. He crossed the finish line just 0.6 of a second ahead of Melville Priest, with Sean Watson-Smith taking the final podium place. Afterwards, the drivers reflected on a tough day's work, with Melville Priest gracious about his defeat at the hands of BMW's finest.
Managed to pass Johan on the first lap, so then it was a matter of chasing Anthony down. Pulled a bit of a gap on Johan, and then I saw, next thing I looked, when I got to the top of West Bank, they were gone. So I just put my head down, chased Anthony, but I must say Anthony never put a foot wrong. I chased him for 6 laps. Eventually I caught him and I saw there's only 2 laps left, and I thought, well, just keep pushing him, and he never put a foot wrong. It was a hell of a race.
Anthony Taylor left Kyalami as championship leader, with Johan Fourie, Melville Priest, Michael Steven and Leroy Poulter his closest challengers. The Renault Clio Sport of Rolf Kearns was a welcome newcomer in Class B at Kyalami. We spoke to the owner.
I raced regionals last weekend at Swatcross, and I was asked by Davy Olivier to take part in production cars, which I originally wanted to do originally when I bought the car. So it's my first opportunity now to take part today, and I'm looking forward to it. We would like to race Megane Turbo if we get a chance from Renault. I do work for Renault, and we are going that road today to see if we can prove to them that it's worthwhile doing it in this category.
With a total of 11 entries, Class T was expected to provide huge fireworks at Kyalami. The Nando's Ford Racing Focus ST entry of Gary Formato fought in the front line of the class earlier this year, and we asked him about his Kyalami race strategy.
Yeah, well, it's only 9 rounds, as we know, so really, 8 to go with this race included. So, we've got to get down to it now. The championship's going to be tight this year. You've got to finish every race. It's important. Even if you don't have the fastest car on the weekend, you've got to be there at the end. So, we obviously come into this race again with big weight disparity between the cars. We're not too sure how our car will behave up here as opposed to down there, and the same with the other guys. So I think we'll be told tomorrow morning when we qualify. We'll know where we are. But I can't emphasize enough that it's so important to finish all the races.
Saturday morning's official qualifying session saw Opel Astra OPC driver Richard Roots in top form, and we spoke to him.
Couldn't have asked for better qualifying. It all went according to plan. But I must take my hat off to Sean Durban. He actually had a side shaft flown in for us from Durban, and that's for the opposition. So thanks to the Ford guys.
With Ford, Volkswagen, Opel, Mazda and Renault represented, the Class T battle is always keenly anticipated by spectators, and the Kyalami meeting was no exception. Richard Roots in the Opel share the front row of the grid with the Golf GTI of Graham Nathan, ahead of Gary Formato's Ford and the Golf GTI of Michael van Rooyen.
So Class T's, Bridgestone production cars Class T's, and a welcome return to racing for the Opels, and Richard Roots puts it on pole, and he's going to lead out with a lot of competition on his right hand shoulder, on board with Graham Nathan and the GTI under the Indy Oils colours.
3 different makes. We've got Fords, we've got Opels, and we've got Volkswagen. Hard at work, really hard at work. This is going to be a war. Roots comes through, Gary Formato, Graham Nathan. Then it's Kurt Elchin, one of the all-rounders in South Africa. He does rallying, he does oval track racing, he does a lot on board with Etienne Prinsloo. This is wild stuff. As they come in Nashua corner and head towards the Goodyear sweep, you cannot afford to make a mistake or lift too long. It's Ruurts, it's Gary Formato, and it's Graham Nathan. And Ruurts goes in sideways into Goodyear corner. He gets tagged, as we say, by Gary Formato, and that's going to give him the lead.
Yeah, you can see the onboard shot there. We look back from Gary Formato in the Ford, who now leads out. That gap opened up for Nathan to come through into second place. Record Roots won't take that line down though. It was a tag. He got moved off that line, so he'll be coming back with a vengeance, and he's obviously got a strong car after taking pole position. Look at that. He closes right down already as they come up onto the shelf, and Graham Nathan is under huge pressure. 1, 2 and 3 starting to get away a little bit. Fourth place battle is all about Kurt Elchin, who's got Sean Duminy in the second of the Fords all over his back wheel, and then we pick up on the first of the Mazdas.
Well, if you Gary Formato, you don't want to see Graham Nathan on your tail as he comes out. You don't know where he's going to come from. This time he's coming your right-hand side. You look back in your mirror and Ruurts is right on your back bumper as well. There's Duminy. He's very big into Ford racing. He's in fact a Ford dealer, a real Ford man. It's Gary Formato, Graham Nathan in there. Reggie Ruurts has come through in 111, that Opel. Very nicely designed, lovely looking motor car. Behind Kurt Elchin looking for a way to get through.
Here we go, here we go. There's the move coming up into the final corner. Nathan just juts out the Golf GTI in the Indy All colours. Now it's going to be a drag race, shoulder to shoulder here, down into turn number 1. We look back and it's Record Roots, but on the left-hand side it's going to be Nathan. Watch for him powering around the outside. He will get the line up the inside if he can hold it, but it's a very brave man to go there. There he goes. What a setup and what a drive from Graham Nathan. He hits the front, and here comes Roots. It's payback time.
Gee, it's the wrong place to do it on this circuit. That's the fastest part of the circuit. Listen to those turbos at work. The popping and squeaking and wheezy turbos. Going, these cars have got big turbos. Class T stands for turbos. Look at this. Down the mine shaft, sideways, four-wheel drifting, and Ruurts has made a comeback ahead of Nathan on the brakes going into the bowl. There's Duminy. A very good drive there by Sean Duminy. Started in regional racing, moved over to these cars, and he's putting a lot into this racing. Graham Nathan sees Record Ruurts ahead of him as they go down to the last corner on the circuit. Is he going to be able to catch him? This has been great motor racing. On the last lap, we've got half a lap to go. Versace's taking on Duminy.
This is further down the field, the battle for around about 6th and 7th place. But Pete Versace has been coming on so strong since he picked up that new car of his. He's got the ideal setup. Duminy, a little bit scrappy down here at Kyalami. Very fast in the straight line. Does a lot of blocking, and the guys are not too happy with some of his driving style. But I'll tell you what, he has got a very fast car. So watch him close down the mine shaft.
Here's the frightening part of Kyalami. It's a very steep hill. This camera doesn't show it. They go down flat out. You don't hear them. In national racing, you do not lift through a corner like that. Duminy's going inside. It's not going to work for him. Versace's very late in the break. A bit too late. He's understeering, goes wide, and he used the opportunity, does Duminy. And across the line comes Reggie Ruurts with Graham Nathan right on his tail.
The final gap between Ruurts' Opel and Nathan's Volkswagen was just 0.2 of a second, with Formato's Ford hampered by handicap mass, another 8 seconds adrift in third. It was a delighted Record Roots who celebrated in the pits afterwards, with second-place man Graham Nathan also a happy camper.
Yeah, I still think that, contrary to what the Class A guys will think, we've got the best racing at the moment. The cars are very close. Record came back and showed us all a clean pair of heels. He got ahead and got going, which is a good thing. It makes the rest of us work hard again.
Sean Duminy's Ford Focus and Michael van Rooyen's Golf GTI filled the front row of the second race starting grid, ahead of Gary Formato's Ford and Graham Nathan's Golf.
First 5 cars home in the last race are reversed for this start, and we've got Sean Duminy in the Ford. That Focus ahead, these lead him across the line. Gary Formato, Fords 1 and 2. Nathan on the far side. Record Roots just behind them, that blue and yellow Opel coming down towards, and that whole pack just waiting to pounce. Make one mistake and they're going to come through. On board with Record Roots now as they go around the second of the S's, head up towards Nashua corner. You can see they take the fast line, they just clip the curb, go out and then start to floor it over the curb. Record Roots under big pressure there from Graham Nathan. That's not the man you want to have in your mirrors, because he comes at you from any side. Here they come now. Gary Formato's making a bid for it. He's going to come through on the inside. No, he's not. It's Duminy in front and Gary Formato on the inside. Is he going to get it? There he goes. He gets to the lead.
Rogers, teammate time here. Teammate time. I think that was a tactical move that these guys had talked about in the pits. Duminy knew he was going to be on pole. Formato knows he's got a very strong car. He said, I'm going to get around, and I think it might have been a bit of a case of you watch your rearview mirrors and keep the rest of the guys off me, because Record Roots wants to come through. Graham Nathan wants to come through as well. Prinsloo and the Mazdas have been looking very, very good as well. But it's Formato that hits the front. He's starting to get away, and Duminy really still in his learning years as well as far as production cars racing goes. He's just going to follow some really sweet lines around this track, but Record Roots is going to be coming on strong. Late on the brakes in the Opel. The Opel is so good under braking, very, very stable, and Nathan knows he's got time in hand to make the passes happen. It's back down the field in 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th where there's a big bunch, and at the back of that was Michael van Rooyen.
Well, it's good to see the Mazdas, the Mazda 3s. These are the pocket rockets in South Africa. Hard to beat any of these cars, these hatchbacks, anywhere on the road or on a racetrack. Mazdas and Opels and Golfs and Ford Focuses.
Kurt Alchin going up the inside there. So Alchin, the man who was very, very strong in the early part of race number 1, starting to make his way through. And you can see Record Roots, a little bit of damage to one of the wing mirrors on the side of the car. He's getting frustrated. Look at the blocking moves that Duminy is moving, almost putting Record Roots into the wall. And this is just slowing things down. It is definitely giving the advantage to Gary Formato to get away out front. But Duminy bobbing and weaving. He's got a Golf GTI and an Opel Astra OPC right on his tail. And look how far out wide Record Roots is getting pushed.
Here comes Duminy now ahead of Roots. That Focus certainly has the speed. I don't think they worry about wing mirrors. They don't even look in their mirrors. Sideways he goes. Was he tagged? There's the come up the hill. Hairy part of the circuit here. Here's Gary Formato in the front, starting to walk away, and the pack behind him. Duminy's doing a good job riding shotgun for Gary.
Oh, that was massive contact. It's just payback time. Shades of Swartkops from last year, where there was an Opel and a Ford in a very similar ding-dong battle. But there's just bits of car flying everywhere. That second and third place battle is all over the place. But remember, while that was going on, Nathan's actually tagged himself through into second place. Got a clear road. Now he can start chasing down the leader. There he goes. This is the battle. Oh, and there's massive damage to Roots' car. You can see one of the wheels was hanging off. There's the wall.
Just doesn't get through Clubhouse Corner. So he'll be out of the hunt in this one. I mean, they mustn't be paying for their motocross to do that sort of damage to each other. He had one go, then he had another go to him. So there's a war goes on between the two. Gary Formato looks in his mirrors, about 4 seconds behind him. He reckons he's pretty safe there with Graham Nathan behind. We'll see a little bit later in this race.
Look at this, though. Third place battle is all about the two Dr. Blocks, old and new. Kurt Alchin trying to find a way through. No way. He was blocked by Duminy. And now we have got 6 cars climbing all over each other, all in with a chance of a third place. Both the Mazdas are there. Kurt Alchin's there. Michael van Rooyen and Pit Fasaki are lining up. Remember, van Rooyen as well. I noticed he actually started way back on the grid, so he started to come through. And this is the battle for first place. Big contact, and the slide you will never see anywhere else in the world comes from Graham Nathan. That's a front-wheel drive car. How on earth do you back it in?
I don't think he knows either. He just takes a chance and goes for it. But what a driver is, what control. Normally do that sort of thing, you're going to find yourself in the wall. That has caught out many, many people. On with Prinsloo now. It's Mazdas and Golfs going down the hill. There's a real good mixture and very little between these motor cars.
I'll tell you what, Bridgestone Production Cars Class T has seen a lot of development over the last couple of seasons. It's created tight racing, and bringing new manufacturers in has just heated things up. Well, down the bottom of the screen there, Sean Duminy, second of the Fords, has come in. Obviously some terminal problems.
Brakes, absolutely no brakes whatsoever. Brake pedal to the floor. Roots and I came together at Nashua earlier, and the next lap my brakes were just gone. Absolutely no brakes whatsoever. So.
And while he was talking, Graham Nathan went to the front. He's got Formato right on his tail.
Well, this is now a battle for second place. Formato has dropped out in the last lap. Engine failure, catastrophic problems for the Ford team. Both cars going out in race number 2. So this is going to be a dice to the wire. Michael van Rooyen, I don't know how much tyres he's got left on his car, because he's come all the way through from the back of the pack. But he won't know that he's in second place unless his pit crew are very, very much on the ball, though. But a nice, clean race. Number 2 goes to Graham Nathan.
So Graham Nathan led home a Volkswagen GTI Avalanche ahead of the similar cars, Piet Versace, Michael van Rooyen and Kurt Alchin, plus the Mazda of Heinz Boser.
With about 2 or 3 laps to go, one of my tyres delaminated quite badly. I tried to keep it in front of Piet, but he just managed to get past me and I couldn't come back from there.
Graham Nathan now enjoys a substantial points lead in this year's Bridgestone Production Cars Class T Championship, with his most realistic challenger being Gary Formato.